sharks away from you, from the aquarium, from everybody. Because I can't trust anyone. I'm never going to trust anyone again.
Big deal! Who cares? Get out of here, you shark lover!
Mako, the Jaws of Death. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from themoonsdeadworld.net, and coming soon, a new website. Should be pretty fun because we're going to have our own podcast network. It's called cultsploitation.com, little plug for it here. And we'll have the Cultsploitation Podcast Network, otherwise shortened to Cultcast Network, which would be our little hashtag. It's going to be a lot of fun. So,
CCM.
That's right. So if anybody's interested in joining a podcast network, we are in the beginning stages of setting that up, so keep that in mind. But anyway, that was a little plug for our new website coming soon. But I'm also joined by my co-host and person who does not write for any websites, Martin.
How's it going?
And
maybe that could change soon.
Yeah, it could. I mean, maybe we'll have a Martin column on the Cultsploitation website. Should be a lot of fun.
You should.
You could cover one cult movie a week or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be a good time.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not being sarcastic and phony.
And then maybe at some point...
When I was at work, actually, like the other day, I was actually thinking of things. I'm like, what things I could...
Like that you would want to write about?
Just contribute.
Oh, contribute to a website or like the podcast or...
Well, this our website.
Our website.
Yeah.
Oh, it's our website now.
I'm part of it. Okay, you know what?
No, I'm just joking. Just because you're in the podcast network doesn't make you a partner. No, I'm just kidding. You're part of this. You're part of it.
This is why JonTron left Game Grumps.
That's right. You have a falling out, and then all of a sudden, you're gone. No, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we get some podcasts on there. Have some, camaraderie, brotherhood. Be a lot of good times. But anyway,
Crossovers.
Hey, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I'm open to that and looking forward to it.
Channel Awesome for several years made their bones off of like having fucking crossover episodes.
Sure. That works.
Yeah,
we could do that. Today we are here with. I remember last week we kind of left it on a cliffhanger where we didn't talk about what we were actually going to do for the next episode, and that's because I didn't pick it, and I actually didn't pick it until yesterday when I thought about, oh yeah, we need a movie. So I went through the list of films that I've been meaning to watch that are horror related and that are also kind of obscure or not as well covered in the podosphere, however, whatever you want to call it.
The cloud.
In the cloud. And I settled on Mako, the Jaws of Death. And
so let's say like an episode of Lost, leave it on a cliffhanger only for people to come back totally disappointed.
No, I don't know if there's a lot of people sitting out there like, finally, they did Mako. Someone's sitting there like, well, I've been waiting for it. It was on the tip of their tongue. I know it. No, I mean, if that was the case, I'm sure somebody would have written in by now. I don't think anybody's really thinking of Mako at all, let alone hoping that we covered it on the show.
Maybe there's PETA people out there who would.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, because we'll bring that up a little bit later in the show. But this is a sort of a PETA-esque movie for them to get behind and kind of advertise their
probably one of the films they make them watch, during like when you join up.
Like this is what we're hoping you do. We're not condoning violence in any way, but we're take this into consideration. No, but Mako is a film that I know of simply because like the poster artwork is one that really copies Jaws. I mean, there's a couple different posters for it, but this is one of those Jaws impersonators. Yeah, that at least on the surface, like when you're looking at it as a poster and you're kind of thinking about like a giant shark attack movie. This is one of those, and it's pretty well known within the horror sphere just because of its connotations with Jaws. But actually, when you get down to it, Mako Jaws of Death, it really doesn't share that many similarities to Jaws at all. I mean, do you think that it does from watching it tonight?
No, not at all.
I would think that if they were going for it to be a really a Jaws knockoff, they would have done a better job, for one thing. Because the formula is already there. And Mako doesn't really follow a formula like Jaws, what like you would consider a Jaws film would. There's a shark attack and stuff like that, but this is almost more of a slasher film in some ways. It's a slasher film. It's like a supernatural sort of voodoo film. And then there are sharks in it too, but the focus isn't really on sharks themselves. It's more about the character that becomes obsessed with his sharks. And I will get into it a little bit more in the episode because I don't want to front load everything in this intro because then we'll run out of things to talk about towards the end of the episode. But the reason I wanted to cover it is because I have been very curious about it as I've seen the posters for it. I've written an article about the posters because, like you said when you saw the poster, at least the poster's cool. The artwork's pretty cool for it. It's got that vintage 70s style like drawing artwork. Very formulaic to the shark films. Like any like creature feature, it's a very formulaic approach to posters, but still looks cool. One thing that they do list on the
just makes me think of like all like 70s posters like for films like that, like Poseidon and even though that's not about killer. If that's one of the other great staple genres of the 70s, disaster movies.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it just makes me think of like posters like that.
Yeah, they're fun. I definitely think that those types of films and those posters really draw me in. That's pretty much why I wanted to watch Mako. Not even really because I knew that much about it, but just because I had seen the poster before and I said, well, that looks like fun. Your mileage may vary, as we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But at least the poster does look cool. The one thing that it does state on the front of the poster is that this film was shot without the use of any like shark equipment or cages or any mechanical sharks like Jaws. This is kind of a knock at Jaws, really. In terms of like...
It's not a knock, it's them saying they didn't have a fucking budget.
Well, that's true, too. You could tell in this film that they didn't need to shoot with a mechanical shark because they basically just shot sharks in water for most of it.
It's literally saying, hey, we don't have the money to make a cool, realistic-looking mechanical shark and operate it, and, we ain't got that kind of time nor money.
So we'll make do with what we have. We'll throw some stock footage of sharks in there.
Yeah.
Maybe get a guy who's foolish enough to just swim around with them, or somebody that works at like SeaWorld, shot on location in Key West, Florida. So that's a tidbit for you. And it does look like Key West, Florida, I guess. One thing that we have to preface this episode with is that we watched a very shitty quality version of Mako because one that I could find was a VHS rip. A very poor VHS rip, but very much like what you would expect to see if I was to sit down and like put in an old VHS copy of Mako the Last Shark or the Jaws of Death. That's what you would.
Tape's already worn out.
Exactly. It's like
you buy the VHS for this movie and it's brand new, never been opened. The tape in it's already ruined and destroyed, and
I felt like this was a pretty authentic experience.
There's a 10-minute skip,
Yeah, there was actually. No, the what we watched, there was a moment where you could tell that the VHS buffer went out. The whole thing went black. Then it skipped back like probably 2 minutes, and I had to fast forward because we had just seen that. But yeah, there is that whole, it was a very authentic experience of like, oh shit, the VCR ate the tape. Got to pull it out. I kind of miss those days. Those were fun. That was a fun time. I mean, I didn't live them that long considering how old I am now, but They were fun times.
It feels like I experienced more VHS than DVD.
Oh, you think so?
No, I haven't. But just like looking back, no, because it's like the same. Like it's all things like '90s. When you think about it, it's like
You just have that nostalgia for something that actually didn't happen.
no, totally.
I agree. I have that all the time. Especially listen to 90s music. I'm like, wow, listen to that. It's like, wait, I didn't live like any of that. I wasn't wearing oversized baseball tees in the 90s. I wasn't experiencing Melrose Place right then and there. It was mostly afterwards, but still, the nostalgia lingers.
It just makes you it makes you feel like, man, I wish I was 15 in '94. Then I really get, be like, yeah.
Then you would feel, all the feels would be even more feely.
Gen X, Actually, somebody the other day said, like, oh, you're part of Gen X. I'm like, no, I'm not. Millennial.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't really care.
No, because we're on the cusp.
Yeah. We're very much in kind of both worlds.
Yeah. Because your sister's more on the millennial side. And she does things that, Gen Xers would be like, oh my fucking, are you,
Yeah.
And so.
But I think, we can speak now. We've got the experience of actually seeing Mako, The Jaws of Death, in a very shitty way.
Throw it into random conversation. It's like, it's like, hey, have you ever seen Mako, The Jaws of Death? Well, let me tell you about this lovely cinema gem from the 70s.
Well, first of all, if you ever pose that question to anyone, they'd be like, no. But then you could return with, well, I've seen a VHS copy of it, and then you look even
but you could
cooler.
Also do that for Fargo when it was available for you on Netflix.
That is true. Yeah, that does bring up memories of watching Fargo. Yeah, I didn't realize.
And again, I had a copy of it, and you're like, I saw Fargo for the first time. Had to watch it on a shitty VHS tape, but I got to watch it. I'm like, it's on Netflix, right?
Oh, that wasn't the first time I've seen Fargo. It was the first time Sandy had seen Fargo.
Oh.
Yeah.
But mother-in-law.
Yeah, my mother-in-law. But no, that's very similar to this. We just pulled out the VHS tape. And there was that's it. I had just had a VHS tape, and I had to make do with it, not realizing that Martin actually had it, and then it was also on Netflix. So, but we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we'll talk about the beer that we're having on the podcast this week. But first, from our sponsors.
Hey! Do you like jokes?
I love jokes.
Do you like video games?
Yeah, I love video games.
Do you like geek culture and really cool awesome shit?
Well, fuck yeah, I do.
Do you like murder?
What?
Check out Game Over, Game On. They're on podcast services around the globe.
What did you say?
Also, follow them on YouTube under The Go-Go Show.
It said something about murder.
Smash that motherfucking like button.
No, it was definitely murder. You said murder.
No, I didn't. And if you get lost, go to GameOverGameOn.com. It keeps the demons away.
The fuck are you talking about?
Hope to hear from you soon.
You will not. You will not hear from me soon. I'm calling the police.
No, you won't.
All right, guys, we're back to talk about some beer on the show. And today we got a new beer for you. And one that is not even from our area because, yet again, I kind of went on a little vacation this weekend. Went to...
Must be nice to be rich.
I'm not rich, but we went to a friend's lake house, actually. So it was all on them. They're rich, not me. And we went up to Massachusetts, and I stopped at a little liquor store and beer store. Actually, they call them package stores up there. Packies, because they don't sell beer in grocery stores for the most part, because they're one of those states. And I stopped there, and I grabbed Big Elm Brewing's 413 Farmhouse Ale. Now, 413 is their area code, 413 area code. And their Big Elm Brewing, I've never heard of before because it's local to there. It's actually based out of
Sounds like something like
Sheffield, Massachusetts. But
it sounds Vermonty.
Yeah, but I mean the cans and the packaging kind of influenced me to pick this up, and also because they had a farmhouse ale or a saison, and that was interesting to me because not very many people are making those, like, a lot of those. There's not a lot around. You don't see them that often. So they had your regular, IPA and stuff like that. But they also had this Farmhouse Ale, which I was really interested in trying. And I also picked it up because I was going to save one for Martin because I know that he's a very big fan of the Saison.
I love Saisons.
So, what do you think?
It's very good. I like it. It's got that very traditional
The
Belgian,
distinctive flavor.
that distinct Belgian Saison farmhouse style ale taste. You got with the Belgian wheat and malt and hops they use in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're right on. When you compare it to something like Ommegaeng's, it's pretty similar. I would say they're very similar to that style.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot.
I wonder where they're getting their all of their like Belgian wheat and stuff like that from.
Maybe they have somebody go fly out to Brussels and.
Yeah, maybe they're getting it themselves. Yeah,
But
no, it's a
not,
really.
I'm gonna say you are right because not a lot of people do. Not just saisons, but like just overall Belgian styles. I mean, we're lucky because around here, Ommegaeng is a Belgian brewer, and they're based out of Cooperstown,
Right.
and they're owned by Duvel, which is Belgian. So I mean, we're pretty lucky to get to have that.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's just interesting to me that that's a style that they're coming out with because it seemed like they were pretty small. They only had three different beers to choose from at that shop. So
Well, give them props because if they're small and say like if they only did have 3 beers
right, I don't know that,
but I mean like say if they did though, and say it's like they had like a lager, a pale ale, and a saison. I would say good on them for
for going experimental.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the next step is a ghost.
No, that's not. That's everyone does a fucking ghost.
Yeah, now they do.
That's like with Stump City around here. Like one of theirs is a cream ale. And it's like, thank you, God bless you, for having one of your staple beers be a cream ale.
Yeah.
I really do. I would like saisons are a perfect, and depending on like how they kind of balance the beer out, they fit perfectly for every season. You can kind of change and tweak them in certain ways to make it more like more of a spring beer.
Yeah.
More of a fall beer. More of a summer beer.
It was perfect for the days that I was at the lake house because it wasn't. I mean, it was not super hot out, but it was it was a comfortable weather, and I think that it was great chilling on the beach with it, but then also back inside or by the fire, it's perfect for that too.
Mm-hmm.
So they are very they're a chameleon like. And that they can hit the range of seasons, and you wouldn't be out of place having it anytime.
Yeah, so I'd like to see a more bigger,
Selection of it.
national craft brewer like Sam Adams, hey, for our spring pack this year, we'll put in a saison, or for the fall we'll put a.
You got to be careful with that too, though, because if once it becomes big like that, and other people are trying it, there's a lot of ways that can go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ways that people could mess up a saison.
We'll just let them try, though.
That's true. You would be interested in how about a Magic Cat saison?
No. I'd rather have brewers try their hand at saisons and be trying, okay, not that good, Then like, here's a purple IPA, boys and girls. We're going down the rainbow. We hit red and orange, and now we're going to purple.
I just like your reaction. I was like, yeah, not that good. A brewer's gonna get it after, and you're like, well, we'll sell it, but not that good, not our best. I like that though. Yeah, I mean,
trust me. Have you buy variety packs?
There's gotta be.
Good and well. They put some of those beers in those packs that they're probably
not super happy with.
As they're getting bottled. They're like, should we really have done a Hefeweizen?
I would say because there's always those beers that just never come back.
Well, yeah, because
it's like
we tried a Dunkelweiss once, for a fall pack, and in the end it was kind of
that makes sense too because
it's just again think about it with all these variety packs and how a couple years ago they went from having 6 beers to 4, and now they're going back to 6, and it's not just like Sam Adams and Saranac, it's all of them. They used to do 6, and then for a couple of years ago, for a couple of years they did only 4 beers. They knocked out 2. So it was literally 3 of the staple beers you get every year, but then one new one. And then each year they'd fucking, they change it.
Yeah.
Like, how often when you get, like, a Sam's Winter Pack, it's like, has it been like, they brought the Scotch Ale back?
Right.
No, like, last year they brought the Scotch Ale back, and it was great, because Scotch Ale, like a Saison, is a beer most people don't do.
True.
And that they should do more often, because it's a great style. But it's like, wow, that's the first time they've done a Scotch Ale in, like, 7 years. Hallelujah, amen.
Yeah, what I think is, I think you're right in terms of like them doing an experimental style, because once you got the batch and it comes out, it's like you got to bottle it and sell it. Like, what else are you going to do with it? You're just going to throw the entire batch out? I don't think so.
Jim Cook's just going to be standing at the just sitting there the entire time, just pouring himself a glass. Like, we got to get through this.
Right.
We got to get through this, boys.
I mean, there's a difference if the batch is legitimately bad. You know what I mean? Like, if there's something like actually wrong with it. But if it just didn't come out the way you wanted it to, but it's still drinkable, then I definitely see them marketing it instead of just throwing out an entire batch.
I got a feeling with all the master brewers and stuff they have, they're not going to be making, especially in big batches, something that's like terribly wrong. They may make something that may not like people appeal to people,
right.
But it's still, meets quality standards.
Well, I guess they're not going to be like shipping anything like that, but their batches, they can come out wrong. That's why Saranac has a bunch of like taste testers that have to like apply and lobby to be a volunteer taste tester. It does happen from time to time, but I'm assuming that if it does happen, somebody's ass is on the line. Like, what the fuck? That was like 600 beers that you just wasted because you didn't filter the malt correctly or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a brewer, but I can imagine somebody's ass on the line if that fucks up. But the long story short, Big Elm's 413 Farmhouse Ale. Very good, very tasty. If you like a Saison, this is right. This is like smack dab Saison territory. It's exactly what you think of when you think of a Saison.
It's not a bad thing either.
No, it's not a bad thing. No, they what I'm saying is they get the formula absolutely correct. And that's great. That's what you're looking for. Other than that, we don't have anything new this week. I am drinking a truly spiked and sparkling blood orange seltzer because my wife bought a 6-pack. She didn't like a different seltzer that she tried previously. So who would have thought? She doesn't like this one either. So I'm finishing that up for her. But other than that, nothing new on the show. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get into the film itself?
That's about it, because the harpoon of drinking we've
already done before.
And we've talked about Leinenkugel's.
We have.
There's shandies enough, so.
Yeah. We'll have something new for next week, I think. So we'll find something.
We're going to be more and more
searching for the Oktoberfests.
Oh, yeah.
They're out and about.
Slowly.
Falls are coming.
Yeah.
No, actually, the fall is coming because
I know. With the past couple of days,
they've been cool days.
It was 70 degrees, but it felt like it was a lot colder than that, just because we were a week before that in the 90s. So it's like, oh, it's kind of.
I think sometimes our show borders on old men talking on a stoop because we fucking go back to the weather all the time. It's like, well, it's been kind of chilly this week. Oh, it's been fucking balls sticking to your thigh hot this week. We could have a podcast about weather.
We're going to rename the podcast Old Men on a Stoop.
Be perfect. Saloon music.
Sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
Lemon. I've been drinking a lot of lemonade of late, too.
Exciting. Very nice.
Well, no, because I
don't know what I'm supposed to say about that.
No, because you're talking about like old men and weather.
No, I get it.
It's been hot. Yeah. A lot of people in the summertime drinking nice cold lemonade.
That's true.
And I'm not even that big of a lemonade fan. It's because the past couple of days I've like ate at like Subway, Moe's, or like fucking Burger King, but because I'm still not drinking soda, I've been getting like the Minute Maid light lemonade.
Eat like shit, but drink pleasantly, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, it's been working.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Mako, The Jaws of Death. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Derek from The Wild Pitch, and I'd like to talk to you about something that's very important to me. My podcast, The Wild Pitch. Now, since you clearly don't have access to a skip button, listen to this.
Eat as many brats as possible.
And this.
An in-home cat communication system that allows your feline friends to talk to you through a series of intricate bell rings and button presses.
And how about that?
I imagine it would be about as satisfying as drinking orange juice after having a burrito.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, I don't know, stare into the sun and you might hear it. It'll buzz in your ears.
All right, so Mako, the Jaws of Death, we're talking about this week. This is actually...
by the way, what an unnecessary title.
You don't like the... well, you know what? The actual film itself, it leaves off Mako. It's just the Jaws of Death. And I would assume that is probably to jump on the bandwagon of Jaws. You know, it's got Jaws in the title. But, I don't know. But I guess they want the Mako in there because... these are Mako sharks. Not that even really makes a difference whatsoever.
I was in the title card, Mako.
No, it wasn't, though.
I could have swore I saw it.
I don't think so. I don't think I saw Mako in there, but...
I think it was.
I mean,
somebody check that.
Not that it makes a difference, per se, that they're Mako sharks. Like, it doesn't really come up in the movie whatsoever that they're Mako sharks, but they're Mako sharks, apparently, and they eat people. Mako, The Jaws of Death, is a hard film to talk about because it's one of those films that there's really not that much substance to it whatsoever. Like, there's nothing, you know, if you were to sit here for, and you kind of did this actually, for 90 minutes at a time, you're just kind of like sitting in the movie, but you're not really paying that much attention to it.
No, I was not.
Like, you still can understand the entirety of the film by that.
The first 3 minutes of this film, I was totally turned off.
Well, we did watch a bad rip, but yeah, at the same time,
even still, I think even if this was a fucking 4K, ultra Blu-ray rip restored, somebody would still fuck the audio up to be unintelligible with its constant music stings and cues throughout this film.
Yeah, that is an issue. I don't know. I think it's probably not just an issue that's related to this VHS rip, but in general, the film score is quite crazy. It's like Death Wish 2 level of...
and we don't usually, the first thing you talk about film scores, usually one of the last things we kind of bring up. Like, I don't know, what do you think of the soundtrack?
Yeah.
This is a problem for this film. This film has a constant banging timpani piano for every fucking scene just about. And the only time it changes, if somebody gets bitten by a shark, it turns to Echo the Dolphin, the Sega Genesis game, like that, yeah. It's annoying. Just a scene where two people are conversing, having a conversation in a fucking bar, you hear hence the fucking timpani in the opening. This is what it is, and it's like it's just totally distracts and jars you.
Yeah, it's a pretty outlandish soundtrack.
The people who made, as I told you, the people who made Long Weekend saw this movie. I guarantee. Well, I can tell you what we're not doing. We'll have our film basically totally silent, so we don't have to.
Yeah, because
we don't have to have that.
I mean, there are a lot of actually, you know, now that we brought up Long Weekend, a film that we did in probably like 20 episodes ago. Mako does have some similarities to Long Weekend in terms of like how there's a portrayal of like nature, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. Long Weekend, very much silent, relies on the tension of the scene rather than the soundtrack to get its point across. Mako, totally opposite. Are you watching a conversation between two people argue? Well, here's a timpani score for you.
Just imagine
just banging around.
Just imagine Jaws if they like Spielberg's direction for John Williams was like, John, I'm gonna need you just to have big bombastic sounds for the entire film, okay?
And it's not only...
okay. Well, Steve, I don't really think in this scene that you were trying to build suspense and tension of like the shark stalking this woman from underwater. As I'm, watching the movie play, you really want that? He's like, no, do it! Do it. You just think of that, like, what like that, if you think of Jaws, that whole opening, part. How does it get its point across? How does it get its, its scare factor and its tension from? it's from the way it's shot, the angles they use, and the score.
Yeah.
That is utilized to build tension. All you had to think was like, you know.
Yeah, it's that pacing.
Yeah.
It's that sound effect of like slow,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden faster, and you're like, okay, that gets your heart racing because there's an actual beat to it. Mako is really just
Tone deaf.
about
Totally tone deaf.
slamming some drums around. There's a very inappropriate usage of bass throughout the film. It's very much a 70s style porno music for a lot of it, especially in any bar scene.
Mm-hmm. Those bar scenes turn to like Debbie Does Dallas.
It's a pretty inappropriate score for sure. And if we're talking tension here, there is none whatsoever. And the film itself, I wouldn't say that it's really trying to scare. Like, it's not really making it a point to make sharks scary. Because like I said in the intro, sharks aren't really a focus here. It's more so the human aspect of these characters that is the real focus. But still, you should be at least a little bit afraid of the sharks. So it would be ideal if the film's score set in motion the same ideas that Jaws is able to do. Even like when I watched Jaws 2, as we talked about in a previous episode, when our local theater accidentally showed Jaws 2 instead of Jaws, the score, which is pretty much the same, is still effective there, even though Jaws 2 may not be so effective in its plotting, because it does have that pacing, that sense of like, okay, things are, getting suspenseful, and then all of a sudden the pace quickens, and so your heartbeat quickens, you're getting anxious, and that's what it does. It's what it's mimicking. Mako could have used some of that for sure. Like I said, this is not it's not really similar to Jaws.
No, it's not at all.
But it could have had some of Jaws' music and been more effective. If they even if they had just done like a straight up ripoff of that soundtrack and changed some of the notes, would have been way more effective in any of those scenes where sharks are attacking.
Would have been acceptable. You would expect that from this film, like
exactly. I mean, they're gonna rip off the poster. You might as well rip off the sound too.
Why not?
Why not? I guess we should talk about the plot of the film, because we went to the soundtrack first, because that was your main concern. You were like, I'm gonna walk out if this fucking soundtrack maintains its bombastic notes the entire
well again
film.
like I said it's an hour and 30-minute film, and I think there's only 10 minutes of scenes where there's silence.
Yeah, I would say that they really overloaded it.
They don't let anything in this film breathe at all.
And the biggest thing that you notice is definitely during the dialogue scenes, because it's just totally unnecessary. It's like, why is there a piece of music that's blotting out what these characters are saying?
And we didn't have the benefits of subtitles too. So
no. But it's a problem, and I don't think it's just a problem that's relegated to like we watched it as a VHS copy with bad dubbing. It's still a problem.
Like I said, even if I think they try to restore it, put it on Blu-ray, it'd still be like, like if Arrow put this out, they'd be like, look,
we did our best, but there's just some clipping in the soundtrack.
I was to say, we did our best, but we're telling you right now, there's only so much. You can only polish a turd so much,
No, I agree. That is a problem. But the plot of Mako,
it's probably why they haven't released it.
That's true. They probably couldn't do a good restoration. But the plot of Mako concerns a guy, Sonny, who is played by Richard Jackal. And he's pretty much obsessed with his pet sharks. And he's able to control them via a talisman that he wears around his neck that he got while he was in Vietnam.
Philippines.
Actually, yeah, it is the Philippines. I don't know. You know what? I read a plot synopsis that said he was from Vietnam. That's wrong. He's from the Philippines. He was in the Philippines. But he got a talisman from the Philippines from some sort of shaman. And now he can control sharks.
He has telepathic ability to communicate with them.
It's a weird premise for sure. I mean, it's very out there. And I don't know that the film does a really good job of telegraphing that story to the viewer, because it's really a sort of a PTSD laden flashback that we get. There's
that flashback made me think of like Airplane, like when he's like when he's talking about like you know and that's when I developed my drinking problem.
Mm-hmm. It is very much like that. It's a conceit that you see quite a bit in films like this, where all of a sudden there's like some sort of like flashback where there's a zoom in on the character and his eyes are bugging out. He's like, fucking, I've seen shit. You know,
just imagine. I hate to make the comparison to Jaws, because again, this film is nothing like Jaws. But just imagine if when fucking good old Bob Shaw is sitting there giving you his flashback story about why he hates sharks and what he experienced. When his destroyer went down, his buddies were getting eaten by sharks in the water. They actually had a fucking flashback for it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work as well. Instead of him actually telling the story and getting to actually see his face and his emotion when he's telling that story, and how when he's talking to everyone on the boat
is gathered around listening to this it's like almost like a pirate's tale, you know what I mean? Like so sort of like that, told like that. In this scenario though, you can't really rely on Richard Jackal to sell the story by just telling it with his facial expressions alone, because I gotta say, his acting is quite subpar.
Everyone in this film is fucking wooden as all hell.
Drama class level.
They're all
actors.
Pieces of 2x4s.
Definitely a very low budget, decision to cast most of these people. I don't know if that's totally Richard Jackal's fault, but at the same time, his expressions on any sort of, when he has to act surprised or emotional at all.
Do you love this? Do you love the short shorts he's wearing throughout the entire movie?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I love the short shorts. I wish I had a pair.
Those lovely cross country, running style short shorts that your balls would be flapping out of.
But I mean, I don't think it's his fault per se, but I do think his reactions are really terrible.
Because he doesn't have any reactions.
They're pretty much the funniest part of the film.
It's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but you gotta watch his eyes, because you can see the whites of his eyes as he's like staring off into space. Because I've got to blame this on the director, William Greffe, that the director's probably like, Richard, look scared, look upset, and so Richard's like just bugging his eyes out, and William's like, more, we need more.
Well, not only that, just like. Again, and I'll never trust anyone again. You just can't. It's like,
right.
It's like, wow, that was like.
I think it's a combination here. Nothing is going particularly right between the direction and the dialogue, the written dialogue, and the acting. So nothing's going right, and so you're seeing a lot of wrong that's coming through with the actual film itself. I think that Mako has an interesting plot though. It's intriguing. It's got a different characteristic to it. And one thing that's really, I would say probably cultish about Mako, the Jaws of Death, is that it takes the side of the shark in this scenario. It's not about human people being victimized by this great beast in the ocean, and they're at the whim of a giant shark, like in Jaws. In Jaws, the humans really aren't at fault. It's the shark that's come too close. It's a giant fucking monster, and the humans have to take it out. In Mako, the humans are definitely at fault here, and it doesn't.
They're all bastards.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't skimp on showing us the fact that these humans suck. And it takes the side of the shark in this situation, where it's like, maybe if they didn't hunt the sharks, maybe if they didn't just go out and shoot at them in the water like game, then the sharks wouldn't be so pissed off, and also Sonny wouldn't be so pissed off, because the sharks rarely do the attacking. It's Sonny that does the attack and then feeds them to the sharks. So it's an interesting concept to have the sharks as kind of a good guy in this scenario. The sharks are kind of feasting on those people who don't really appreciate nature. And that's why we talked about PETA earlier in this episode, that they would be appreciative of Mako, because it really is about respecting nature and respecting the wildlife and not, crossing over into territory that's not really yours. I think that's pretty much the theme of Mako, and it doesn't really go any deeper than that. And it also muddles that theme by giving us a protagonist that's clearly got some mental health issues. I think that's one
Hence
of
the PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely PTSD there, but also it just seems like he's a very lonely man who's living off by himself and doesn't really know how to interact with like human emotion. He doesn't have any, like you said.
Well, why would
he
you?
doesn't have anything.
When you get to go to the bar and just get free drinks and free meals.
Yeah.
What a lucky bastard. I wish I just showed up to like, eat up. Oh, okay. You work real hard. You need to eat. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, you want a beer? Yeah, sure. It's on the house. But then let's pour the most pathetic beer glass of all time.
Let me put 2 fingers of beer in my drink. Yeah.
Shouldn't be measuring your beer by the finger. That's just wrong.
That is true. But I think I think Mako has a cool and interesting concept. It's muddled by poor direction in writing. And basically, it doesn't do a whole lot right in terms of like it's not, like you were saying, it's not that fun to watch. There's nothing about it that's so bad that it's good. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's funny. It can occasionally be humorous in terms of like, oh, that was kind of stupid. So you laugh at it.
Yeah, like, where you been all night? Had a bad night. What? Were you raped?
Yeah.
That's after we had a scene where, there was an attempted rape on her. Her husband's like, what? Were you raped?
Immediately jumping to the conclusion.
Yeah, and very just, just flippant about
pointed.
it.
Yeah.
And flippant. Just like, what? You were raped? Were you raped? I don't care.
Not very concerned, but just wondering, like, why are you acting weird? You must have been raped. It's a very strange moment. Not something that I would immediately jump to when my wife came home late, but apparently that's where her husband's.
And then when he finds out that his best friends that were ganging up on her, he's like, "Oh, hold on now, they're my best customers." I think you need to settle down. I think you're being over dramatic.
You're being a little dramatic about this. And also, would you contemplate posing nude while swimming in my restaurant? I love that. Yeah, it's a very, very concerned husband.
I'm glad, too, that all the locals go down to this shit show of a bar. Because, there's nothing about that make me go, oh, I gotta go down here.
The only attraction at this bar that they go to is this guy's wife, who apparently swims for hours in a fish tank that he's set up behind the bar. It's such a weird... Why?
Just go to a strip club. If you really want to have a drink and see boobies and shit, go to a strip club.
I mean, I can understand.
Trust me, Florida has a shit ton of them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can understand why Sonny wants to go, because he has this weird attraction with underwater life. I almost assume that he's seeing this woman as a mermaid, and he's kind of attracted to it, and sort of I would like to fuck my sharks, but they don't really have the anatomy for it, so I could fuck this woman and pretend like she's a shark woman. It seems like that's the concept they're getting at here. But this is a really weird bar that I don't think most people would ever frequent unless they had some good beer on tap or something. And it doesn't even look like they have taps. It's mostly bottles. So they're doing it all wrong at this bar, basically. But the one thing they do...
The nice thing about is if you go to a good bar and you get it like a beer and it comes in a bottle, they give you the frozen mug to...
that's true.
Pour it in.
Yeah, that's true.
The one I haven't had that in a long time because I haven't gotten a beer from a bar that required it not being off from tap.
The one other good thing about this bar is that you can puff away on your cigar.
It's the 70s.
It's the 70s. You can smoke anywhere. Smoke anywhere.
There's no smoking or non-smoking. You deal with that. You deal with that. Stop being a pussy. That's fucking right. Boss Hogg's the manager. But I realize the guy's basically Boss Hogg and fucking Don Vito from Viva La Bam.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just talking gerbil and puffing a cigar with his like fucking giant gut hanging out. Just...
All right, so what do you think of the shark attacks? Because this film is notable for not shooting with any cages or shark equipment.
Or they're full of shit.
Well, I think that they're not being completely honest with you. I think what they mean is...
You mean to tell me, like, when they say movies are based on a real story, that they're actually not?
Well, I think what they mean in this case is that when they say they didn't shoot with the equipment, they mean they just filmed random sharks... Swimming around, for the most part. You can tell that at some points there are stuntmen that are in there with diving gear on. But it's not... I wouldn't say that there's like any risky maneuvers in this film. Like, there's nothing that's super risky about maybe being in like a confined area. Now I think about it, that shade thrown to Jaws is pretty bad because one of the tensest scenes in the film is the whole cage, in the cage and the shark, Yeah. Yeah, in this case, there's nothing. They can say that they didn't shoot with any cages, but there's nothing here that's really like going to make the viewer think like anybody was really in danger. There's, most of the shots are actually from above, so you see sharks in water, but you don't see anybody with them. So, and there's a lot of like, Hollywood manipulation here. So I don't think that they're really being truthful with any of the blurbs that are on the posters. With that said, I think they're creative with their deaths, like with the shark deaths. So it works in some ways. Is it as good as something like Jaws or actually pretty much any other film released at that time? No. But at least it's entertaining, I guess.
No.
You disagree entirely. Like, you didn't find this film fun at all.
No, there's like the whole opening part is fucking like because that's like one of the violent scenes. It's so fucking stupid. Like, just randomly, like instantaneous at a boat and three jackasses like, gotta catch a shark with my fishing rod. Yeah, she's a biggin'. Got one fucking drunk guy with his like little fisher hat sitting there, like the handsome hunky guy kind of overlooking.
They kind of remind me of like the Three Stooges.
Yeah, you're right. And then a fucking sea captain literally just sitting in his chair like a newspaper, like fucking whatever. And then you see Sonny like swim up and cut the shark line free to let the shark go. And my first thought was like, because they like, where's his boat?
Yeah.
Where did he leave his boat?
He dove from, I don't know, miles.
Well, you swam 10 miles?
No, he probably didn't swim. He swam on the back of the shark. Because they do show him occasionally grabbing onto a fin and just holding on for dear life as the shark swims through the water.
I agree. I'm fine with him like doing that. I don't for the distance though. That. And that was stupid. Then like the whole fight on the boat, like that could have been suspenseful and tense if it was the right movie. It's just campy and corny. And like the captain's like talking to him for like a good 4 minutes, like asking him questions. He just keeps prattling on, and Sonny's just sitting there blank, staring at him. And within a minute, the guy doesn't realize like this guy's fucking weird and off. He's not all together. Yeah. So everyone basically deserves to die. They all deserve to get like stabbed in the neck and thrown into the water and eaten by the shark. But even still, it's not suspenseful. There's no tension. It's not even like funny. It's just boring. It's like
You don't
get
like You don't like that Sonny knows Krav Maga?
No, I don't give a
He's fucking doing fisticuffs every scene that he's in. I mean, he fights off the rapists.
And it's great. And it's great. Later in the scene, he gets restrained by the woman who was, getting pinned down by the rapist. So like he was like all like, oh yeah, fucking going Russell Crowe, beating the shit out of people, and then like, oh, I can't do anything. I'm weak.
So it seems to me you didn't really enjoy Mako.
No, not at all.
You don't find any sort of...
They had fucking poor odd job in this movie.
Yeah, they did.
And they had to make sure, which he gets not top billing, but it's pretty up there. Harold Sakata gets pretty high up there billing. He's not even in the movie that much.
He's only in it for a
couple
6
of minutes.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because they billed him as Harold Oddjob Sakata, like to bank hey, maybe people come see this because he was Oddjob.
Yeah, they had to put his nickname in there. Yeah, from Goldfinger. Sad. It's sad, and
what a waste! Like that would be great to see. Like he's a wrestler. Why don't you have him throwing shit around? Better, yeah. Why don't you have him fucking tussling with a shark and wrestle a fucking shark? That'd be great.
That would
Could
be
totally
fun.
stupid and idiotic, but that would at least make it some kind of fun. This film's not even campy.
But do you see any redeeming qualities?
No.
To see it as a artifact of its time
it's an artifact of its time, but I mean, I wouldn't tell people. See, just because Jaws spawned a exploitation genre that lasted for a couple of years, I wouldn't say
the sharksploitation genre
that you should go out and see those films.
But this is a reversal of the sharksploitation genre.
It doesn't matter that they have a different point. The point I'm fine with the point. I think it's if it was a better done film, that could be a good point. Hey, here's Jaws posing the shark as the menace, but say someone who has more of a scientific and marine biologist inclination, and they're no, sharks don't actually do that kind of shit. People are scared of sharks now and want to kill them, and they do a horror movie that it's like this. If it was actually done slightly in a manner that was, at the very least, mediocre, then you would get, some value out of it. There's no value in this film at all.
All right. I can concede that. I get
it's
it.
not with say Mad Max exploitation films that come out following that style. Quite a few of them kind of they're stupid, ridiculous, and bad, but that kind of fits the what you would expect from a B movie of a B movie. Here it's
Well,
granted, if you think about Jaws is a horror film, it's a thriller film, it's also an exploitation film.
True.
It's just a big budget exploitation film.
Yeah.
I'd
be interested in covering some of the other films that are like this.
I would want to see them, but would I ever probably say hey, you should probably check, if you like Jaws, you should check this film out? No, not at all.
No, I agree. I wouldn't recommend this to just anybody. I wouldn't say you need to see Mako. If someone said I like shark films or I like horror films. No,
that's very niche.
Yeah,
that's very niche.
You've got to be a hardcore fan of shark movies where you would say have you seen Mako? I don't see me just going up to any random person
or just Z-list movies. You actually enjoy shit. You're aware it's shit, but you I just love how
Yeah, like I said, this isn't the worst shot on video film or anything that SOV film that I've seen, because I get quite a bit of them for review, because that's kind of a niche thing that's been coming out lately on certain labels, is that they come up with these really obscure shot on video films and like, well, let's restore them as best as possible and then put them out on Blu-ray. So I've seen quite a few. This is by far not as bad as some of the other ones that I've seen. At the same time, would I recommend it to like random people? No.
You can't compare like a whole movie to like this is released in theaters, not at probably a wide scale,
right?
But it was put out, in the theaters. Those videos that you're talking about, like
yeah, those really are shot on video. They did not get put out on in any theaters at all. I don't know if this one actually has a theatrical release. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, no, but I don't have any information available to me about that. Anything else you want to add about Mako before we wrap this up? Because I know that we don't have a huge amount to say. I do want to comment. Obviously, when our main character Sonny's running around in the Philippines, he's wearing a nice white long sleeve shirt.
Beautiful.
And some khakis.
Let's say beautiful white button-up shirt that you would like with it rolled up.
That does always bother me.
And like 4 buttons undone, like from the top. Like
that does always bother me about jungle films, like any adventure film. Yeah. It's like no one is wearing that in such a climate. Like that seems like the most uncomfortable thing to ever have to wear in that sort of situation where you're going to be like traipsing through the jungle.
Well, it makes sense like to do that because like the mosquitoes and stuff. But at the same time, you want to have your fucking sleeves, rolled up then and like your chest like
maybe that was the thing. Maybe that was like Joseph Conrad, Heart of Stone, sort of written in characters as being like, you wear a long sleeve white flowing shirt. I don't know. Maybe it just seems really uncomfortable to me because when I get home from work, I have to change out of my button down because it's like too uncomfortable. So for me to wear a fucking long sleeve buttoned up shirt in the jungle,
in an air conditioned office,
yeah, that's obscene. I can just see me sweating through that. Basically, be pointless for me to wear it. Just wear nothing at all. But all right. Let's rate Mako. What do you give Mako the Jaws of Death?
3 out of 10.
All right. I didn't even give you a scale.
Yeah, well.
Out of a scale of 1 to 10, I got nothing. There's nothing to give you. There's no scale to give you from this.
It breaks the scale.
That's right. It breaks the scale. So you gave it a 3 out of 10.
You can do like out of 10 like VW microbuses because there's like a shit ton of like
true, yeah,
vans pouncing around.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, VW microbuses. You give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah,
you're pretty much right around where IMDb gives this film.
Yeah, this is a bad movie, and it's not enjoyable. I didn't find anything enjoyable about it at all. There's a few things to laugh about. I had like kind of a good guffaw about like a little slight chortle, but other than that, this was a miserable, boring film.
As much as I don't want to agree with that, I will agree with it in some ways. I would give it a 4 out of 10. It's not a good film. Like I said, I've seen worse. I like shark movies. I like underwater movies, so I think that probably buoys it a little bit, and that's a pun right there.
It doesn't have anything to do with like underwater. Like, I'm one of the few people when it comes to like the Bond film Thunderball. Everyone says the film's overly bloated because of the 20-minute underwater fight sequence, and I fucking love it. It's like it's so great and awesome. It has nothing to do with that. It is just a bad film. It's not entertaining. The acting in it is atrocious and terrible and wooden. Though it has a unique concept, they don't do a damn thing with it. The score totally, absolutely, automatically makes this film impossible to go above a 4 because it's so bad and just thrown all about. So and again, like I said, it's not even fun at all. It's just it's a bad film. It deserves that 3 out of 10. You got to do a lot of things wrong in a movie to get that kind of low score,
especially from you. Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see what listeners think about Mako because, like I said, it's not a movie for everyone. I can appreciate it for what it does and what it was in 1976, but, you know, it's definitely not a film for everyone. So let us know what you thought of Mako. You can catch it online because it's online. You can actually watch a better version online than what we watched. So just check it out. It's on Daily Motion. You can catch it online. So give it a watch and let us know what you think. You can write to us on Twitter at bloodandblackrum. You can give us an email, bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We have both a group and a page, so search for us on there. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and any other podcast app that you can think of. So subscribe and review us. And we also have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. You can follow us on there. You can donate anything that you possibly can spare us. And you can also follow, just, you know, get our episodes and comment on them. So it's a good way to keep in touch with us. Thanks for listening. Do we have an episode for next week?
I don't know.
I haven't picked anything. It's bad to end on a cliffhanger like this. We need to pick a film. Well, you know what we can talk about? We can talk about our upcoming Halloween.
No, I want.
You want to keep that a secret?
Yeah.
All right, we won't announce that until the end of August. We do have a plan though. just so everybody, like, normally we're flying by the seat of our pants here. We just do it week to week, but we definitely have a plan for our Halloween season. And our season is going to last from September through October. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And when we do Halloween big. Big. I don't have a film for next week.
We'll think of something.
Do you want to do a horror film?
Well, yeah,
again?
Yeah.
You want to get back into the swing of things?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do a horror film for next week. I'll announce it on the Twitter page and Facebook. So check back on that. And definitely check out cultsploitation.com. It's going to be coming soon. We'll have a Cultsploitation podcast network. If you're interested, if you're a podcaster, please let us know. cultsploitation@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back next week for a new episode. Take care.
See you later.